I'm Lauren, and it's getting close to April, so it's time for another TBR. Yeah! I'm sure some of you are aware, next month there's a big readathon going on. That is the Magical Readathon. It is a Harry Potter centered readathon based around the OWLS tests. The readathon is really complicated, so I'm not going to talk about the whole thing in depth. There's a really long video that the creator made, I think BookRoast or something. I'm not good with names, but I'll put a link to that video in the description. Essentially, you pick a career from a long list of careers. It tells you what tests you need to do, and each test represents a prompt. So for me, I don't really know what job to pick. There's too many for me to narrow down. It's a little bit overwhelming. So I'm just gonna take the prompts and do the prompts. I don't really know how many I want to do necessarily, so I'm just gonna go through all the prompts, and if I don't make all of them, that's cool. And if I do make a lot of them, then that's even better. That's how I'm gonna do this readathon anyway. So yeah, I'm just going to go through each of the prompts, what I'm planning to read for it, and then after that, I have a few other books that didn't fit into the prompts and I really want to read in April. It's going to be a really big TBR, unfortunately, but you know, that's how it goes. Anyway, let's start off with the first prompt. I don't have the fancy, there's a fancy sheet you can print out, but I didn't print it out. I'm just going off my pushy in a book that I wrote down the prompts in and stuff. So the first prompt is for Ancient Ruins, and that is to read a book with the heart on the cover or in the title. So for this one, it's the only one I actually couldn't pick a book from like my TBR or that I had from the library already. So I'm gonna be skipping this one unless I have extra time to read something. If I do have extra time, I might borrow Bring Me Their Hearts by Sarah Wolf, since it seems kind of interesting and it has a pretty short wait time on my library. I don't know too much about it. It seems to be about this evil lady who likes taking people's hearts. I don't really know. It sounds like kind of comedic as well, but that's a very low priority because this TBR is going to be big enough as it is. You will see soon enough. The next prompt is for arithmancy, and that is to read something outside your favorite genre. So my favorite genre is fantasy, as you might be able to tell by fantasy and fantasy, mostly fantasy. And so basically just read anything other than fantasy for me. And for this prompt I plan to read Too Much: How Victorian Constraints Still Bind Women Today by Rachel Verona Coate. I don't know too much about it, it just seemed kind of interesting, so I wanted to borrow it from the library, and it should hopefully come in. It says 2 weeks as of recording. From what I understand, it's a nonfiction that looks into how some society's standards for women are really long-standing since the Victorian era, and some of these are kind of outdated with the times and kind of thing, I think. I don't really know much about it other than that, but it seemed like it was a good nonfiction, and it seemed like it had some humor, and that's kind of what I want in a nonfiction. The next prompt is for astronomy, and that is to read a majority of a book at night. Basically, there wasn't anything specific I felt like I wanted to read at night. I don't know, I do a lot of reading at night anyway. Basically, I'm thinking of reading a manga for this one. It kind of depends what I read at the end of March, because as of recording, there's still about 4 days till April, so I can easily read a bunch of manga, and this will change a little bit. I might pick up Higurashi When They Cry, Dice Killing Arc by Ryukishi07. This is part of my series I want to finish, kind of 2020 goals, and this is the second last one in the series that I want to finish. It's a little dark, as you can tell by the splatters, horror, murdery, mystery, with supernatural elements type of thing. From what I understand, this one takes place after the ending. It's just kind of a final epilogue type thing, I think. So I'll be looking forward to reading this soon. The other one that I could read is Assassination Classroom by Yusei Matsui. This is volume 10. Just a lighthearted action manga with aliens and stuff, and it's just kind of wacky. So if I read Higurashi at the end of March, then I'll read this instead, probably, just for some lighthearted stuff. I need some lighthearted things right now. The next prompt is for Kara Magical Creatures, and that is to read a book with a creature with a beak on the cover. Overall, actually, on my TBR, I have a lot of books with beaks on the cover. But just picking one of them, I plan to read Howl's Moving Castle by Diana Wayne Jones. The covers kind of vary, but the one that my library does have like a crow on it, I think. I think a lot of people are familiar with the Ghibli movie of this. This one is another kind of lighthearted fantasy. A girl gets turned into an old woman by a wicked witch and has to go on a journey to try and lift the curse, but comes across a moving castle that's owned by Howl, hence the name. He's a kind of eccentric kind of wizard guy. The main character kind of lives with him for a while and learns about him and kind of what's going on in the world and how to fix her curse and stuff, and it's overall pretty light. And this is for the series I want to finish in 2020 goal as well. I've read Howl's Moving Castle a long time ago, but I never continued on to the other two books in the series, so since it's been a while, I want to reread Howl's Moving Castle and then finish the series later. The next prompt is for Charms, and that is to read a book with a white cover. The book I picked for this is Jurassic Park by Michael Crichton? Why are these names always hard to pronounce for me? Everything's hard to pronounce. I think this one should be familiar to even more of you, because the movie is so well known. People go to this park where dinosaurs roam and everything gets buggered up because, big T-Rexes are kind of hard to contain. They have to survive, get out, and yeah. I'm reading this for one of Merphy's buddy reads. Merphy has 3 buddy reads a month. She has 2 for Patreons and 1 for just everybody. I think Jurassic Park is for everybody. I don't have the link to that particular Discord, but I'll link to her channel, and hopefully her Discord is linked somewhere because I don't know how to link to Discord stuff very well. But I'm really excited to read this. I almost read this in school, actually. I was supposed to pick something to read in class in a group kind of thing. We wanted to read Jurassic Park, but the teacher didn't think it was academic enough or something. I don't know. They didn't give a good explanation. So we read Dracula instead, and I didn't like that. So we'll see if Jurassic Park is better and if I should be mad at the teacher or not. Hopefully this should be a nice action-packed read as well. I don't think I want anything depressing in this upcoming month. The next prompt is for Defense Against the Dark Arts, and that is a book that's set at the sea or coast. I plan to read The Riddle by Alison Krogan. This is the second book in the Pelennor series. I'm planning on finishing this series as well as part of my 2020 goals. It's almost like a Lord of the Rings light-esque series. Very slow-moving, exploring. There's dark ones, they gotta stop that, and there's kind of chosen one type stuff in here. And it is a series that I'm pretty nostalgic for, and this is also a reread for me. And this was originally for my March TBR, but it's a lot slower than I expected it to be, and I don't think I'm gonna finish it in 4 or 5 days in March that I have left. Like, I'm barely anywhere through. The chapters are very, very long, and it's very slow paced. But this fits for the prompt, I think, because the first few chapters are definitely at the coast. They're on like a coastal village, town. I guess it's more of a city. I don't know how long they're going to be there, but I think that counts enough. I was originally going to do the third one for this prompt, The Crow, which is... the whole book is at a different coastal town. But I'm not going to end up finishing this for March, so it's a little bit of a stretch because I don't think it's going to be only at the coastal place, but cut me some slack, please. It's a stretch, whatever, shush. The next prompt is for divination, and that is a random read. Alright, so this one's a little bit harder to do. What I'm going to try and do is bring up my TBR on my phone. I think it's up to date, so I'm going to move over there and put my phone up to the camera, and we'll see how this works. This is my TBR on my Goodreads, so down here I can set it to do a random, and I'll just do the first one. So random, I'm just going to do random, and the first one on the list is what I'm going to read for this. Takes a while to load. There we go. Oh no, that's not a happy one. Ode to Kirihito by Ozu Tezuka. So unfortunately, random was not very nice to me and basically picked the thickest manga on my shelf, pretty much, and that is Ode to Kirihito by Osamu Tezuka. And, oh god, this doesn't sound like a very happy read at all. Oh no, it's about a contagious disease. That's not really good for right now. Oh no. Well, we'll see if I get to this. What a rude random. Jeez. Doesn't really talk too much about the synopsis, so I don't really know too much about this. But, knowing Tezuka, it's probably going to be a little bit dark and a little bit weird and a little silly at the same time. I don't know. We'll see if I even get to this, because this is a chunker. I mean, it's a manga, but it's still like... We'll see. It's like the worst one it could have gotten, other than maybe these hunky boys. Jeez, so rude. Okay, so the next prompt is herbology, and that is to read a book with a title that starts with M. This is actually kind of good timing for the readathon, because I am going through the Discworld books. I'm trying to read at least one Discworld book a month. In March, I read Equal Rights. So the one right after Equal Rights is Mort by Terry Pratchett. So this works exactly for this prompt, isn't that nice? The Discworld series is a really lighthearted, fun, very British humor kind of series, and Mort in particular is the first in the sub-series, like the Death sub-series, I think it is. And Death is the best character ever. I don't know how to describe him, but he's just really funny, kind of, but not intentionally. I don't know exactly what Mort specifically is about, other than it has Death, and he's a great character, and I love him, so I'm really excited for this one. The next prompt is for History of Magic, and that is a book that features witches and wizards. This is my booth boy for April, and that is Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell by Susanna Clarke. I don't know really anything about this other than fantasy, and it's kind of historical, maybe, and it takes place in England. They definitely mentioned wizards somewhere, so this definitely fits for this. I am reading this for one of Merphy's Patreon buddy reads. But I want to read this because it sounded like, as a lot of people were saying, it was really good, and it sounded like it had some humor. I don't really remember, so hopefully I like it, because it is really big. It's over 1,000 pages long in this edition. So I'm kind of scared, but also looking forward to it. The next prompt is for Muggle Studies, and that is to read a contemporary. That is to read a contemporary? I feel like I'm saying it wrong, but whatever. This one is kind of tough because I don't really read contemporaries much. When I read contemporaries, it's manga, and that's about it. Manga-wise, I've read everything that's a contemporary, but I do have on my TBR Go by Kazuki Kaneshiro, which I think is contemporary. It doesn't sound historical, it sounds modern day, so I think that counts. I have no idea what it's about. It might be a romance, I don't know, but it is short. I think it's 160 pages or so, and I got it for free, so this prompt might be skipped out, because I have so much on my TBR, so we'll see how that goes, I suppose. The next prompt is for potions, and that is to read a book under 150 pages. So I'm cheating a little bit for this one. I plan to read Rogue Protocol by Martha Wells, which is the current latest novella in the Murderbot series. A lot of fun. Murderbot's really cool, just trying to watch his media, live his life, but shenanigans always happen, and Murderbot has to clean up everybody's mess, and it's a good time. Now, the reason why I say it's a little bit cheating is, well, it says it's 158 pages. Let me see if I can... 158? I don't know if that caught up, but, I tried. But the weird thing is that the first chapter... Yeah, it starts on page 9. I don't know if you can see that at all, but So it starts on page 9. It's exactly 150 then. But I think I should get a little bit of slack if it's exactly 150. I don't know. I'm gonna be reading it in April anyway, so I think it should be close enough. I think it fits the spirit of the prompt anyways. It's like a really, really short book. This is really, really short. And then the last prompt for the Magical Readathon is for Transfiguration. That is to read a book that involves shape-shifting in some way. For this one, I think it counts from what I read, and that is The Golden Compass by Philip Pullman. From what I understand, there's demons in here that shape-shift, so I think that counts. I'm planning on reading this anyway in April for my series completion goals. I don't really remember what this is about necessarily, other than there's demons and they're going to other worlds and things and there's stuff to do, but I don't remember what happened. I'm not reading this whole thing in April, by the way. I'm just reading The Golden Compass. This is a collection of all 3. Yeah, I'm not reading this whole thing in April, along with all those other chunky boys. So those are all the prompts for a Magical Readathon. However, there are unfortunately a few other books that either came in from my library or I'm really, really excited to read in April, and I'm gonna be reading them in April. Yeah, this TBR isn't crazy enough already. I have to make it crazier. But I have 4 extra books that don't fit with the other prompts. The first of these is Ascendance of a Bookworm Part 2, Volume 3 by Mia Kazuki. This is a light novel series that I have been really, really enjoying, about a girl that gets transported to another world into a body of a sick girl, and she wants to just read books all day, but unfortunately for her, she's just like a sick peasant girl and can't afford these really expensive books in this world. So she uses her knowledge from our world and tries to make her own books or somehow get access to books in any way possible. And it's just a really lighthearted series, a lot of humor, and just a pretty easygoing series. There's not really any battles or anything like that. And I love it so much. So I'm excited for this new volume to come out. It releases in April, so that's why I'm reading it in April. Second extra book on my TBR that I want to read is Nisei Monogatari Part 1 by Nishiori-san. I want to catch up in the Monogatari series, and this is the next one I have to read. It's a weird series, lots of talking, aberrations that hunt people, and I don't know how to describe it in just a short amount of time. I don't want to go into whole details on it. I don't know anything about this one. With the other books in the series that I read, I had some ideas because I watched the anime for those. This one I have not. So I really have no idea what's going to happen in this one, other than I think it's a different POV than the other books in the series. And it's probably going to be just as wacky, if not wacky and weird and deep at the same time. I don't know. Monogatari series is very strange, but I am still looking forward to this as well. The last 2 books on my TBR are library books that I misjudged, and they kind of all came at the same time. So that's unfortunate. I may or may not read them. One of them is The Capture by Catherine Lasky. This is the first book in a middle grade series featuring owls, and they kind of get captured, and I think they go to a creepy school and, I don't know, kind of brainwashed, and so they have to try and escape, and there's destinies and stuff. I don't really remember. This is a reread for me. I just wanted to see how this series is, if I'm still interested in reading it. And if I'm not, then I'll remove this from my series I want to actually finish list. So this one I might DNF pretty quick, I don't know. And the last book on my insane TBR for April is The Golem and the Genie by Helen Wecker. This is another one I don't really know too much about, but it's a fantasy kind of historical leaning, I think. And I remember reading a preview of it, and it sounded interesting. There's obviously a golem and a genie, I guess. A lot of people really like it, so I wanted to give it a shot. And it just came at an unfortunate time. I know I could have moved the hold, but I don't know. I didn't feel like moving the hold, I guess. Just want to clear out my holds list. So these are all the books that I plan to read in April. Technically, one of these manga I might not read, and I'm not reading all of this, a big chunker, but I'm also reading a whole bunch of digital books, so that doesn't even it out, does it? Kind of makes it worse. But, oh god, this is heavy. Let me know if you read any of these and your thoughts on them in the comments below. Anyway, this is so heavy, and thank you so much for watching, and look forward to seeing you again in another video. I need to put this down to wave. Bye!